Talking about kegs and eggs, fertility and oocytes. Talking candid while having a drink or two. You'll hear real talk from a real genetic counselor who's miscarried multiple times before. It's time for Katie Lee CGC.
You guys, it was a good ultrasound for the first time in 2 years. An actual good ultrasound where there was a heartbeat and my gestational age is lining up. So I'm pregnant for real. It's hard to believe. Yay. Yay. I should probably not show all my personal information, but probably now know where I live. I kind of like being a vlogger, but you guys, what do I normally do after all of my terrible ultrasounds? Drive my car too fast, go to Starbucks, and I mean like way too fast, like because I'm reckless after a bad ultrasound where there's no baby. But anyways, I do that. And then I like to go get a big coffee drink and like a chocolate croissant, maybe get my eyebrows done. But today I went to Sprouts to go get stuff to make a healthy smoothie when I get home because I'm hungry. My lips are chapped. I'm just going to continue with this vlog style. I'm going to go ahead and make my little morning breakfast that I like to have. I like to use this, a scoop of this, not even a full scoop because it's kind of a lot. Like, I don't know, 1/2, 3/4 of a scoop. And then usually I do a banana, but the bananas aren't ripe yet. So I'm just going to skip that and do like some spinach and some blueberries. And then I really like this oat milk. It's so good. Okay, and now I better go to work because I've just been not working all morning. So many changes of scene in this video, you guys. I'm just moving all around to try and find a quiet place. But I wanted to finish up telling you about my ultrasound today. So what happened was, first of all, I was late to the appointment, and I am never late. I hate being late, especially because I knew I was the first appointment. My appointment was at 8 a.m., so that's when the office opens. But there was so much snow this morning, and I was scraping my car forever. I got there like 2 minutes late, which to me I still really strongly dislike. And they called me back right away. What I really appreciated is that my doctor, my OBGYN, had informed the sonographer who was performing the transvaginal ultrasound that I had been through a bunch of miscarriages. So the sonographer came in and she said, Dr. So-and-so told me I have to find a heartbeat today. Don't worry, we're going to make this quick. I know you've been through a lot of bad ones. And that made me feel just like it took off a little bit of the pressure. I did not bring my husband. He had to stay home and watch our son because it was early in the morning. And also, we've been through so many of these. Like, I don't know. I honestly rather go by myself at this point. So he'll come in the future, I'm sure, sometime. She starts putting the transvaginal wand in, and like, I had my eyes closed. I opened them for a second. And as soon as I saw the screen, I was like, oh my God, it's an empty sac. It's an empty sac. And she goes, no, hold on. I haven't seen anything. I'm barely in there. And she goes, nope, it's a baby. Everything's okay. And she said the heartbeat was good. And we listened to the heartbeat, and the size was measuring what would be anticipated for my gestational age based on my last menstrual period. So it was good news. Which I haven't had for so long. Just the number of ultrasounds you have to go through if you have medically managed miscarriages, like missed abortions or missed miscarriages, they're called, is unreal. Like, I am certain I've had over 20 transvaginal ultrasounds over the past 2 years. The first ultrasound is always, of course, to see whether there's an intrauterine pregnancy or not. And that's when I've often found out, okay, it's not the right size that it should be based on the dating from your last menstrual period. And they'll often tell me, okay, I want you to come back in 1 week or 2 weeks and we'll see if things catch up. Maybe your dating's incorrect. Earlier in my first couple of miscarriage experiences, I went along with that plan. And then later I stopped agreeing to that plan and was like, no, I'm certain my dates are right. if the heartbeat's not there, it's non-viable. Like, we're not magically going to see things happen within 2 weeks. That's just not how it works. So, all of the ultrasounds to follow up for miscarriages, like I've tried cytotech and naturally miscarrying a few times and just waiting it out. And I would just not have that much bleeding, not that much tissue would pass. So I'd have to keep going in week after week to see if I still had tissue. And it just absolutely sucked. Like 4 weeks in a row of those ultrasounds to just look at this dead tissue in you. So anyways, I'm so over those ultrasounds. I told you guys how I didn't go in for any of the early ultrasounds. Like you can go in for a 5-week, a 6-week, and I just didn't want to. I didn't go in for any of the HCGs either because it's just too much. It's so stressful, and all of that early monitoring can look perfect, but it doesn't mean that things are going to be perfect. And even where I am today, even though the baby was measuring perfectly and there was a heartbeat that was good, it doesn't guarantee me a healthy pregnancy by any means. It's just, one step closer, which is great. And this is further along than I've ever been. Besides my normal pregnancy with my sonny before the 5 miscarriages, they've all been earlier losses. Even though some of them were identified later, like my first miscarriage wasn't identified until like my 9.5-week ultrasound, which is generally when most OBs see you for the first time, somewhere between 8 and 12 weeks, depending where you live. And it was at that 9-week ultrasound that it was identified, even though things were measuring closer to 6.5 weeks. So they knew that that embryo arrested way earlier than when I was there at the appointment. So I feel hopeful about that, but I really wish I knew what the cause of all of these miscarriages was so I could understand whether I'm up against it at this point or whether it's some sort of risk that I've surpassed being at 7.5 weeks. I think both my husband and I are feeling optimistic, but we're also he's not as nervous. He feels good about it. I feel still nervous, which, it is what it is. I think that's normal at this point. The one other thing, the night before the ultrasound, I could not sleep. I was up all night and I have such weird dreams, probably about once a week related to miscarriages. This reoccurring dream that I have is that I'm hiking and I'm always hiking with like different people, either friends or family, and a literal fetus, a small one, falls out of me and I like grab it out of my pants and I'm carrying it and I'm not telling anyone. And it's like, I'm going to put it back in is what I'm thinking. And it's going to somehow live and it's moving. So creepy. It's not really a nightmare. Like, I don't know. In the moment of the dream, I don't find it disturbing. And then I wake up and I'm like, wow, what was Dream Katie thinking about putting that fetus back in her? Like, you can't reinsert a fetus into your uterus. And also it would not be viable. So yeah, I have all sorts of dreams like that. And I had a bunch that night before the ultrasound. So what's the game plan? I'm going to keep taking my progesterone 3 times daily, my aspirin, my Synthyroid, and my Lovenox daily and see what happens. And I'll go back for another ultrasound in 2 weeks at about, actually, it's going to be almost at 9 weeks, 6 days is when I'll go back. So wish me luck. I hope things are okay. And that's it for now, guys. It was a good day. I hope you had as good of a day as I did.